In this tutorial, we're going to be looking at producing this drawing here, CAD-304. Don't ask me what it is. It's just an exercise that we're going to be doing. It's sort of a bit like a pipe spigot flange type thing. Yeah, either way, the whole idea of this drawing is we're going to be looking at some particular tools. We're going to throw in some hatching in there. Yeah, some of your O-snaps are going to be a little weird, so I'm going to show you some little tricks there. And we're going to insert some symbols like the section symbols, write some text, apply some dimensions, all those types of things. Now I'm going to walk you through this step by step. Actually, maybe I won't go through the dimensions. I'll just show you how to insert all the bits and pieces, and maybe we'll set it up in the title block. Yeah, and if I've got some time, I might just throw some quick dimensions in there. Alright, so as with all of your drawings, the very first thing you need to do is have a look at the shapes. How can we build this? Okay, what can we break it down into? So for me, just looking at this shape here, I've got an arc and an arc. Alright, so that has a radius of 30. So what I'm going to do is I can break that down into a circle. Then we've got some more concentric circles in here. There's another radius over here. We don't know where the start and the end points are, so we can make that just a circle. We've got another circle in there. They are 80 across, so at the moment I'm just going to assume that that distance is equal. So let's say that's 40 and 40, so that makes it fairly easy. So we can draw that quite easy. Over here, yeah, rectangle just in there, another rectangle here. And then these lines we can project from this point here straight across. Alright, so pretty straightforward. Alright, let's get into this drawing. First thing we need to know, let's have a look at these sizes. So what have we got? We've got a radius of 30 for that circle. We've got a diameter of 40, diameter of 30, radius of 12, and a diameter of 8. Now I'm going to draw all of these as concentric circles, and then I'm just going to shift these two just straight out. Okay. Because as you can see, they all share the same center point. This is very easy. So clicking on your circle tool, first thing you do, just click anywhere, and we're going to type in the radius of 30. From there, if you want to use the diameter tool, you can center diameter. Move over that circle there, click on the center point, and diameter of 40. Okay, you can repeat that as well. Again, if you like, diameter 30. Alright, so we've got that. Then we can do the center radius in here. That's going to be a diameter of 12. And there's another circle in there which has a diameter of 4. So we're going to put a radius, diameter of 8. So the radius is 4. Alright, so once I've got all of those concentric circles, making sure ortho is turned on just down the bottom here. What you're going to do is select these two circles, and remembering back from session 1, you can click on the grip and just move in the direction you want to go and type in the distance 40. Okay, so let's pop that into the right spot. Easy enough. From there, what we're going to do now, we need a line that's tangential to this circle and tangential to that circle. Easy. All we do is click on the line tool and move over here, and as you'll see straight away, I'm not getting a tangent point, I'm getting my nearest. So I can come over to my O-snaps and turn nearest off, and you'll see even when I come over here, I'm still not getting tangent. Okay, that's creating a problem. Alright, so how do we do this? Very simply, hold shift down and right click. Okay, now you only need to hold shift down until you click. This brings up this window here. This is what we call an O-snap override window. And all you want to do is just come down and find the O-snap that you want. In this case, it's tangent. And what this is going to do is override every single O-snap except for tangent. So you'll see now when I move over this, all I'm getting is tangents. I can't get centers or quadrants or anything like that. Now it's only going to do it for this one click. Okay, so I click once, and as you can see, that's the tangent. It's following me around. Now you would have noticed I just clicked roughly where I wanted it. Okay, it's following me around as I go. Alright, so next thing I'm going to do is take this up to this one. Again, I'm not getting the tangent that I want. So very easy. Shift, right click, choose tangent, and again, you just click roughly where you want it. So as long as I'm in this quadrant somewhere, it will snap to where it needs to go. Press enter. Alright, so that's that one done. Now you can repeat the same for the bottom. I'm just going to use the mirror tool. So we already know how to use mirror. So just click on the mirror tool, select the line, enter. My base point for the mirror line, my first point is going to be the center, and with ortho on you can just pull it straight out, click, and no, we don't want to erase source objects. Okay, so I now have those in there. From there I'm just going to select all that and pop that on my outline layer. Okay, alright, now I've got the same thing on this side. Okay, so there's no point drawing it again, we already have it over here. So using the mirror tool again, select these objects, okay, using the crossing window, enter, and we're going to go from the center point of the circles this time and move your mouse straight up with ortho, click, enter. Right, now we have both of those. All that's left really is just to trim out these bits of the circles that we don't need. So to do that, using the trim tool, select the lines that you're going to be trimming with, they're your cutting edges, then enter, and then just select the objects that you want to trim. Pretty straightforward. Okay. From there I like to use my join tool, so I click on join. Okay, J is the quick key, and you can do a window over all of this. Okay, the reason is it's going to filter out all of these circles, it can't join them into anything. So it's only going to join these outside ones. So even though down in the command line it says 12 found, when we press enter, okay, you'll see it comes up saying 8 objects converted to one polyline, 4 objects discarded. Okay, so it's these 4 circles. Alright, so that's all that done. From there we can pop in the center marks. Now you already know how to do this from other tutorials, so I'm going to move fairly quickly through this. For this one I'm going to use DCE. I'm not going to use the center mark tool. You could if you wanted to, but I find this way much easier. So I'm just going to go DCE, enter, click on the circle, and from there I'm going to scale this up. Okay, now whether you want to use the grips and press enter 3 times, or if you want to use the scale tool, select the object, enter, base point, and as you can see we can just drag that out. I'm just going to drag that out to the quadrant of this inside circle here. We can go and apply that to the center layer. Now I want to do the same sort of thing in here, but I'm not going to use DCE or the center marks to put another one in here, because that's going to give me extra lines and bits and pieces that I don't want, particularly in the horizontal. So the way I normally do this is just to draw a circle, okay, from the center point of this circle, and we can bring that out. Let's say we make it about 8, okay, and from there you can do the same thing over this side if you like, but I'm just going to copy and mirror. I'm just going to draw a line from that point, so that quadrant, down to that quadrant. That becomes a center line, and then I'm going to use the extend tool. So extend, so EX is the quick key if you want, or select that outside of the circle. That's our boundary edge, enter, click on there, that extends it through. From there what you can do is mirror. So MI is the quick key if you want to do mirror, and we're going to mirror these 2 pieces about center line over to the other side, enter. You can delete this circle, and now all we need to do is extend this one out. Okay, so using the extend tool, there's your boundary edge, enter, click the center line, enter, delete the circle. Okay, so now we have those center marks in there. Next thing we want to do is pop in the section arrows. Now I've already made these things up for you, so all you need to do is pop into Blackboard. Okay, back into Blackboard, under the blocks section, we're going down to where it says symbols, and what you'll see in here is there should be a section arrow in here somewhere, right there down the bottom. Again, with all of these blocks, don't click on them, because that will open it up into a drawing. You don't want to do that. You just want to right click, go save link as, and we're going to be saving that into our drawings folder. Okay, click save. Back into the drawing. From there we just use the insert button. So again, you can go insert, and then more options if you like. I'm just going to go I for insert, browse, okay, and there's our section arrow, so let's go and click on that and open. From here, this time we do want to specify an insertion point on screen, so we're going to click this little button here. leave the scale as is. Okay, we don't need to scale it. Now these are annotative, so they should automatically scale if you change the scale of your drawing just down in the status bar here. So we're just going to leave all that, click OK, and that brings that in. Now what I am going to do is just go and pop that on the end of this center line here. Okay, and it's going to come up and give you an option to change the reference. We're just going to leave that as A and click OK. Now I normally select this and pop that on my center layer. Okay, so it goes in with my center mark or center lines. From here, that's facing the wrong way. I need that on the other side. Now I've made this a dynamic block. What that means is you don't need to mirror and do all sorts of weird sort of stuff. You just go and click on this object, and you'll see here I've got this little arrow here. If you click that, that flips that back and forward. This one flips that up and down, and you can also rotate the text if you want. Okay, so that's all there for you. That's all we need to do. Once you've got that one done, mirror that over about the center line, and we'll get that over to the other side. Okay, so there's your section line popped in there. Everything's all sweet. Okay, from there we can go and draw the sectional view. Now to do the sectional view, pretty easy, as we've determined before just from looking at the drawing. This rectangle, we're going to break this down into two rectangles. You can see here we have 10 across, that's just up there, and it's going to be the total height from there to there, which we know is 60. So I'm going to draw one rectangle which is 10 by 60. The other one is going to be the 35 minus the 10, which gives us 25, and that's going to be 40 high. Okay, so in here, just two rectangles, doesn't matter where you put them. If you like, the first one you can just track across from this bottom quadrant just over here, just so it's already lined up. I'm just coming around about 130 odd millimeters, that's fine. And 10 tab 60, there's our first one. Second one, you're just going to draw anywhere. So click your rectangle tool, and this one's 25 tab 40. Okay, so we've got those two. Now what we want to do is we want to line this one up with this midpoint of this line here, and we want to line it up on the midpoint of that line. Very easy to do, so just using your move tool, selecting the object, enter, move over to the midpoint of that right hand side vertical line, and then just move your mouse over to the midpoint of the other rectangle where you want to pop it. There we go. Okay, from there we can select that, pop that on our outline layer. Okay, now we need to get rid of these lines on the inside. Now you'll see we've got a rectangle there and a rectangle there. Now the cool thing about what we're going to be doing here, we're going to use the trim tool, so you can click up there and trim, or you can type TR for the quick key, enter, select your object, enter. Now what that's done is that's made every single line on this rectangle a cutting edge. That means it can cut itself with these two lines here. Now you'll see if I click on that once, there's still going to be a line behind it. So I can click on it twice, that will get rid of both of them, or you can just draw a little window over it and get rid of both. Okay, press enter to finish. Then we're going to join. So J is the quick key for join, otherwise modify, click the join tool. Draw a window over the whole lot, enter. So what that's done, that's now joined, as you can see in the command line, 5 segments into one polyline. That makes this one whole object. From there we need to put some radii in these corners. So looking at the drawing, we have a radius of 5. Okay, so very easy to do by clicking on the fillet tool, which we know already. Checking that your radius, like mine's currently set to 5. If yours is not, make sure you choose the radius option. And we're going to choose multiple because we're going to do more than one. Okay, so then I just click this line, that line, that line, and that line, and then enter. So there we go. That's all done. Okay, easy as. From there, we just need to put these lines in through here, just indicating where we've cut through this hole. So taking a line just from there. Now you can bring that back to perpendicular if you like, and repeat the same thing down the bottom. Okay, enter, use your trim tool, select the object as your cutting edge, and trim out what you don't want. Okay, now these two lines are also going to be on the outline layer. All good. Alright, from there we can draw in a center line, so it's line from midpoint to midpoint, and you can scale that up Okay, so I'm going to scale that object from the midpoint, and let's scale it by maybe 1.25. Let's have a look. Yeah, that'll do. And that goes on your center layer. Okay, easy. Now for the final part of the drawing, before we get into sort of setting it up in the title blocks and putting in all of your dimensions, is to put some hatching in there. Now the hatching is pretty straightforward. You would have already done the hatching tutorial, so I'm going to move through this fairly quickly, but I will explain exactly what I'm doing. So the very first thing is we come up here and click on the hatch tool. Now you can type H or BH depending on which one you want. They'll both do the same thing, but click on hatch, and we want to choose this one here, ANSI 31. So that's our default angle. Now remember, the hatch, the whole idea of hatching items like this is just to indicate the material that you've cut through. Now since we are using pick points up here, we're going to go and click inside the areas that we want to hatch. Now, but before we do that, this is going to put it on layer 0, then you're going to need to select that and put it on your hatch layer. What you can do, if you've already created your hatch layer, you can click on the little properties pull down and see here where it says use current layer. You can click on that and choose hatch. So now that's going to apply it to the hatch layer. Okay. The other thing we want to do is make sure this is associative. Okay, so, and you can make it annotative as well. Okay, so make sure both of those are on. What that's going to do, associative, it means if we change the shape of the boundary that the hatch is in, the hatch will also update and change with it. And annotative means, again, if we change the scale of the drawing, the hatch lines will either grow apart further or come in closer. Now that's important because our standards dictate that these hatch lines need to be 3 millimeters apart. Okay, so once I've done all that, all I need to do is just click inside where I want my hatch to go and click this one here. Okay, right click and you're done. So that's pretty much the drawing done. The next step is to go through and apply the dimensions and your title block. So hopefully you already know how to insert the title block. I've already got mine in layout. So I'm just going to jump over to layout now. So just popping over to layout. Oh, that one's already done. Let's go and actually create a new layout. Okay, and I'll do this one from scratch. Okay, so that's what we see. So as per my tutorial that I've done before in terms of inserting title blocks, I'll run you through that process really quickly, but if you want it in detail, it's in the other tutorial. Very first thing, as stated before, we need to set the paper up. You can do that by going into your print settings. Make sure you choose your printer, in this case DWG to PDF. The paper size, this is the important part. This is ISO A4. This is what's got the margins in here. We need to get rid of the margins by using full bleed. So we're going to go ISO full bleed A4, 297 by 210. You can set your plot style to monochrome for now, and everything else 1:1. Landscape, that's all cool. Apply to layout, cancel. Done. Easy. Alright, from there we can go to insert. I'm just going to press the I button, enter, and we're going to go browse, and you want your A4 title block. Click open. Uncheck specify on screen, so this way it goes to 0. Everything else stays the same. We click OK. Now mine's coming up with this. It's saying, do you want to redefine it, because I've already got a title block in this drawing. So I'm just going to put don't redefine, or you can redefine it if you're updating the title block. You won't get this hopefully, so don't worry about it, but I'm just going to go don't redefine. In here I need to fill out all the information. Okay, so just looking at the drawing, the title is exercise 14, the drawing number is CAD-304. Obviously you'll put today's date in there, and the scale, and your name, and your student ID. So I'm just going to go and fill out that quickly. So the title is, make sure everything is capitals, exercise 14, name, okay, scales 1:1, drawing number CAD-304. Today's date is the 28th of the 2nd, 2019, so that's all there. And you put your ID in there as well if you like. Okay, well, make sure you do put your ID in there so I know whose drawing it is. So then I click OK. and that pops all the information into your title block. From there, we're just going to select the viewport, make sure that is on your viewport layer, and rearrange the viewport. Okay, so you might find you'll need to turn ortho off just to be able to rearrange this nice and neatly. And as before, don't put it on the title block, just inside the title block. Okay, so from there, what I'm going to do is double click inside here, and just, this is the one I want. I'm just going to zoom in and make it sort of fit onto my drawing, and then coming down to the status bar, you'll see you've got a series of numbers just down here. Mine says 1.016. That's your current scale. What you want to do is select that and choose 1 to 1. Okay, and you can see it just zoomed out a little bit. Okay, so that's pretty much got that set up, and it's all centered. Everything looks pretty cool. From there, you want to click the little padlock on the status bar, and what that does, it locks the viewport, so you can see I can't pan or zoom around. So that's fixed that in place, so I don't accidentally change the scale. All good. From there, while you're in here, you can apply your dimensions and bits and pieces, or you can do that in model. I might do it in here just so you can see how it goes. So now it's time to put the dimensions in. I'm going to put myself on the dimension layer. Now, you would have already been through the dimension tutorials, whether it's in class or on the video. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to run through applying those dimensions. So I'm not going to talk too much about the settings and all that sort of stuff, because we've covered that already. Alright, so the very first thing I need to do is just think about all the information that you've got to put on this drawing. So I might start with this view here. So I'm just going to pop over here, and let's go and start with so a linear dimension. I'm just going to go from there to there. Now, always make sure you go to the end points of what you're dimensioning, and that height based on Australian standards needs to be at least 12 millimeters. Okay, so there I have that as 12. From there, if you've set up all your dimensions correctly, what we should be able to do, and I'll just double check that I have set mine up. So I'm going to click on here, modify, and we're just looking at the baseline spacing, so it's underlined, so you can see I've got 12 here. So that's exactly what I wanted. What that means is if I click on this dimension and just come over this grip and click baseline dimension, you'll see I can then pull that out to there. Okay, easy as. So that's that one. I'll do another linear one from this point to that point. We can bring that out 12. Okay, right, now that didn't come out 12, so let's try that again. Okay, well, what you can do, if you didn't want to redo that, an easier way around it, just to make sure it is at least 12 millimeters, you can draw a circle with a radius of 12, and you can see that should be here. Now, the reason it didn't do it in the first place is, I should just explain that. When I do my linear dimension from there to there, I haven't got any tracking points out, so when I typed in 12, it just put it wherever my mouse was. If I move over that endpoint, and now you can see I'll get the green tracking line. If I type in 12 now, that will give me the measurement. Okay. From there, we want to do another one. Okay, from there to there. Okay, and that's going to come out here somewhere. Now, I've just put that randomly. That measurement from there to there, we need 12 again. Easiest way of doing that is just click on annotate and use this little button here. This is adjust space, and I click from this dimension, so always choose your closest one, then the next one, enter. Now, don't use auto. We're going to put in the space of 12. Now, if you're at a 1 to 2 scale, this is going to be 24. Okay, since we're at 1 to 1, just type in 12, and that's adjusted that space for me. So that's all good. Other thing we need to do, since these are circles, we need to apply diameter symbols on these, so you can just double click on there. Okay, go up to your symbol button and choose diameter. Okay, we'll do the same on this one, diameter. Okay, so make sure anything that is round does have your diameter symbols on there. Alright, from there we're going to put a radius in here, so you can do it all from here if you like. You can click the pull down and go radius. And I'm just going to go and click on this radius, and now you'll see when I pull it out, I get this weird extension line coming out. Now, I don't like that. You can keep it there if you like. I'm not a big fan of it. So to get rid of that, as long as your arrow was, as long as this line is directed towards your arc, what we can do is back in the Home tab, you can click this little downward arrow here, which is your properties. That will open up this window. And what you want to do with the dimension selected, just come down and turn the extension line off. Okay, and that will get rid of that. Okay, from there you can stretch this in a little bit closer. Okay, so that's that one done, all good. Other things that we need to put on here, some more dimensions. So I'm just going to do a linear dimension from that point to that point. Again, always going to the ends of what you're dimensioning. Don't go to the center of the circle, go to the ends of the center lines. Okay, and I'm going to line that up with this one up here. Okay, so I've got that in there. What else do we need? We need some radii. So I'm just going to click on here. We want radius. I might just choose this thing in here. Let's just pop that there and then select the grip for the text and drag that out. Again, making sure you're at least that 12 millimeters away from the drawing. Okay, you don't need to actually type in 12, just you can see what 12 is there. So as long as it's looking right, then that's all cool. Let's do another one for radius in here. That one I'm going to pop up there and just drag that out. Okay, just up in here. Now in here I want some text, so I'm going to double click on that and press the end key to go over there, put a space in there, and we're going to put TYP. Okay, TYP meaning typical, so that means that the radius of here is 12 typical. Okay, now that's a little short, so what you can do, you'll see here, if I stretch this out, now it may get a little close to the end of the drawing, but remember we've got a bit of space in there, so I'm happy with that. If that is a little too short, what you can do is just edit that by pressing enter or double clicking on it, and you can drop that down that way as well. Okay, so you end up with something like that. Okay, but I'm just going to leave it how it was. The other thing we want to do is we've got two holes in here which we need to dimension. So again, rather than using a diameter tool or something like that, I'm actually going to use a leader. Okay, so let's use a leader. And what leaders do, they just point at things, and that's where you can specify information. So I'm just going to pull that out here. Okay, maybe down there, and try and keep your arrow facing the center like that. Okay, right, so yeah, okay, that's not quite where I want it, but something like that. Okay, and in here you can just type in, technically you just put 2, and then you can do lowercase x for times, put in your diameter symbol, okay, 8. Right, you can leave it at that if you like, or you can put in holes after it. Okay, right, now you'll notice as it's going off the viewport, text disappears. We can pull that viewport out, that's not a problem, or as I was saying before, just take out that space and drop that down like that. Okay, all good, easy enough. Okay, next thing we've got to look at, do we need any more information on this drawing? Okay, have we got enough to be able to build it? So we've got radius 5, 12 typical, so we know that. We know there's 2 holes, diameter 8. We've got a radius of 30 there. We know the size of those 2 holes. We know that. Yep, we've pretty much got everything. Okay, the only thing that is missing is our little section label down here. Now for these things you can do this in layout, if in model if you like, but anything to do with text, so like all this stuff is annotative, so unless your text is annotative, you can I would put that in layout. Okay, but in this case I'm just going to leave it in model. So remember, I am in model because you can see the viewport here. I've double clicked inside it. So from here I'm just going to pop up to my annotation. You can see I've got my ISO on my standard here. Clicking on there, I've actually made one up called label that's got 5mm text on there, so I'm going to choose that and choose my text button. Just draw a little window over here, okay, and we can type in section A, okay, and I'm just going to click outside that, grab that little grip, pull it out. Okay, if you like, you can select this, highlight the whole lot, and let's just put a center justification on, or actually just click on this one and go middle center. Okay, what that allows you to do is it gives you this grip here, and you can line that up, you know, with the midpoint there if you like, and then we can bring that down. That's if you're really pedantic about having it spot on. Okay, so there we go. Alright, so that's pretty much everything there. I can double click outside of this now, maybe stretch this out just a touch more. And now what I'm looking for is, do I have a nice balance of space? So you can see I've got a big space here, a little space there, and then this is cramped up a little bit over there. So what I might do is just shift this whole thing across. Now there's two ways of doing it. Since everything is in model space, and you can see if I click on the model tab, everything is in here. Okay, since everything is in there, I can just shift this by using, by shifting the viewport. So ultimately I can just bring that back here. Okay, so let's just stretch that back, and we can use the move tool to move that viewport over a touch, and that will move the whole lot. Okay, so now when we look at the balance, now sometimes it's a bit hard to tell when you've got the viewport showing, so you can come up in here into your layer pull down and just freeze the viewport layer, and that's going to give you an idea what it looks like. Okay, I'm pretty happy with that. So it's sort of drawing wise, it looks a little heavy over this side, so we may want to shift it back a touch, because that space there and that space there now is uneven. Okay, so I might just do that quickly and just move this that way. Ultimately, if you didn't want to muck around with the viewports and all that, you can just leave your viewport stretched right out to where we want it before, and if you double click inside the viewport and unlock it, you can just pan that around, okay, and we can get that roughly where it looks good. Okay, so I'm looking top, bottom, left and right, equal spacings, that all looks cool. Lock the viewport, double click back out of it, drawing's done. Okay, so from there, double click your scroll wheel, zoom extents, and then you want to go into print. We'll do a quick print preview, make sure everything looks good. Okay, so no border printing out in there, so no viewport. We've got everything in there, all the text is there, everything's showing up. If we're all happy with that, yep, right click and plot, save that into your plot folders, and that's that drawing done. Okay, I hope you enjoyed that video tutorial. Hopefully it wasn't too quick for you, but you do have the option to pause, rewind, and all that sort of stuff. Okay, so good luck.